Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. And today we have 4 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Retiring lawyer outwits a corporate giant in a legal battle over the exclusive use of a particular shade of green for their pipes. The second story. Night shift worker revolutionizes stocking by overstocking rooms, revealing the real issue and prompting a positive change in their workplace. The third story. Pizza place botched a massive order, so the hungry customers decided to show up anyway, leaving the boss fuming. The first story is retiring lawyer spills his beans. So I started work in the 90s on the shop floor of a pipe-making factory, but made a few friends in the office. So one year at our end-of-year breakup party, I overheard a story from the corporate lawyer, who was retiring on the same day. Someone asked what his most memorable case was. This guy was gray. Gray hair, gray skin, gray clothing, gray manners. Nothing distinctive about him at all. In fact, at the annual company party known for drinking, this guy was always sober, but not that night. He was a contracts lawyer, never tried a case, just proofed contracts all day, as far as I know. He's probably dead by now along with most people in this story, but no company names, as those entities live forever. So we made pipe, plastic pipe, water supply, sewer, electrical, and telecommunications duct. We were the second biggest in the market and would swap contracts with the biggest manufacturer as we both bid on supplying the big players in the markets. In our jurisdiction, we had a government communication department, which got sold off and became Big Telco, along with deregulation of the sector. We supplied green duct for telecommunications to Big Telco, lost the contract to the competition, gained it back, etc. Life went on. One day a new international company entered our market and started undercutting Big Telco. Let's call them OK Telco. So as things go, we lost the Big Telco contract, but picked up the OK Telco contract, which was bigger, as they had to establish an entire network from scratch. Yay us! This is where Mr. Gray enters the story. He was a contracts lawyer, not a criminal law or other specialty, but contract. He gets a please attend meeting invite from Big Telco, along with a select few from our company, probably about the upcoming renegotiation of contracts. When Mr. Gray walks into the room with his boss there, sitting across the boardroom table are Mr. Big SH and several $5 a word flesh-eating attack lawyers. They ambush them with an injunction about using this green. You know, the standard telecommunications green, for OK Telco pipes, and are ready to take them for everything, including the pension fund for daring to supply the competition. They had a strict contract on the table, which had to be signed then and there, or another $5 a word flesh-eating attack lawyer standing by at the courthouse would have a judge sign an injunction against making any pipe at all, until the case was settled. Probably an empty threat, but even a 2-week break in production could kill our company, while lawyers cleared it with a judge to let us make other types of pipe. Mr. Gray looked over the contract and told the boss to sign, as they could tie us up in knots due to their huge size and budget, while the contract just made it clear that this green was the exclusive property of Big Telco, and could only make it for Big Telco. We folded like a shirt and signed. Life went on with us making OK Telco a that green pipe. A few months later, Mr. Gray went to a 20-year reunion from his law school. Guess who was there? Mr. Big SH, telling everyone about how great a lawyer he is, and how he can push around anyone due to how great he is, and definitely not due to his huge budget, an army of $5 a word flesh-eating attack lawyers. Mr. Gray is peeved. Mr. Gray bides his time and pores over the contract. A few years later, Big Telco has to have a name change due to how much bad press they have from SH service and practices, and as a way to avoid debts under the old name. They change everything, storefronts, letterheads, everything. They're now New Old Telco. Contracts come and go. The other big pipe company gets the contract from New Old Telco to make pipe. Mr. Gray strikes. Other pipe company and New Old Telco get served with cease and desist orders about making and using green pipe. Big SH lawyer is puzzled and angry that this has happened, and calls Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray arranges a meeting and then hangs up on Big SH mid-threat. Big SH turns up with his $5 a word flesh-eating attack lawyers to see just Mr. Gray in the boardroom. No ambush, no backup, just him. Mr. Gray lets him vent his spleen about how they're going to gut the company, and Mr. Gray will never work in law again. Then Mr. Gray takes out a packet of papers and a highlighter. makes a few strokes and pushes it to the closest $5 word flesh-eating attack lawyer. They read what he had highlighted and screwed up their face. This was repeated as the papers were passed to the Big SH lawyer. I'm no lawyer and this was about 30 years ago, so I can only paraphrase what Mr. Gray said he had highlighted. Only our pipe company, in conjunction with Big Telco, can make and/or use this green pipe. Exclusively with no substitutes, parent or child companies, successors or blah blah blah. Since there were only 2 companies listed on the contract, they were the only 2 sets of people who could decide the fate of this green pipe. Big SH said that they could claim ownership of the pipe color since they were in effect just a rebranded Big Telco. Mr. Gray pointed out that that admission would cause all their avoided debts to come home, with interest along with an admission of guilt in trying to pervert the course of justice. Big SH then claimed that they inherited the ownership. Mr. Gray cut him off with the no child company clause. Big SH went on for a while, being blocked by Mr. Gray at every turn. And at the end, even his $5 word flesh-eating attack lawyers were jumping in to shut him down, because he was exposing them to risks greater than any of them were willing to be a part of, especially since they had made the contract as airtight as they could to screw us. As they were leaving, Mr. Gray said 2 things. This was an unfair fight. All of you versus me. Next time, bring more and smarter lawyers. And since we now effectively control the This Green, here's a document making the color public domain. We don't want to screw the other pipe company. It's not their fault they have idiots for customers. Mr. Gray was a great example of how courage and intelligence can overcome a huge budget and an army of $5 a word lawyers. Mr. Suritz knew his cards and how to use the legal code to his advantage. His ingenious move with the disclosure clause in the contract about the ownership of the green color was simply brilliant. He forced Mr. Big Mouth and his army of lawyers to reveal the weakness of their position and succumb to the pressure. Now no one could own that color, and it became a symbol of the victory of the Gray Mouse over the big corporate giant. From this story, we learn that intelligence and ingenuity can be stronger than any budget or number of lawyers. It also inspires us to always be ready to defend our rights and look for unexpected ways to win, even in the most difficult legal battles. The next story is, I wasn't doing the stalking well enough, so I fixed it. In 2010, I was working night shift at the nursing home where I lived as an NA training to become a CNA. One of night shift's duties were to stock all the residents' bathrooms with anything the day shift might need during the day, and night shift was pretty good at it. Things stayed stocked and day shift never ran out. Well, about 6 months in, night shift had a week-long period where we had 1 or 2 people pass away on the night shift, and that takes the whole staff, and we can't really deviate from tasks for non-menial tasks like stocking, and put those above the care of the family of the loved ones that pass, and the other residents in the facility. After a week of not being able to stock the way we liked, the complaints started pouring in the communication book that night shift wasn't doing our job. The charge nurse tried hard to have our back, but we were all still reprimanded. Finally, things came to a boil when after another really hard night, one of the day shifts started screaming at me in front of everyone, and placed all the blame on me. The director of nursing, DON, pulled me aside and helped me calm down. I was tired and lost someone that I really cared about that night. It's not just the families that lose a loved one when residents pass away. The Don helped me calm down and suggested I take the night off since I don't sleep well during the day, and had already been working 6 days. I told her, no, I want to make sure that everyone knows how hard I work, even when it doesn't look like it. And I made a plan. That next night, after we got our nightly information about the happenings of the day, I told the other CNA that I would be doing their stocking as well as my own. Puzzled but willing to hand off work, they complied. We had 2 really big carts that I stocked so high I was picking up supplies, as I was going down halls to each room. Depends. Robes, toothbrushes, toilet paper, mouth swabs, chucks, bed sheets, blankets, wipes, anything that was needed, I stocked and then stocked again. I stocked them so well in rooms that rooms never ran out. Sometimes the stacks would get so high they threatened to fall. The cupboards literally had stuff falling on day shift, I stocked them so well. After a couple of months, the complaints started coming in that day shift couldn't do their job well enough, because they were spending too much time cleaning up stuff falling on top of them. Again, I was screamed at about not doing my job right, and making it more difficult for day shift to do theirs. The whole time I'm being screamed at by a nasty man with a bad haircut, the Don and administrative director were in the office behind him and could hear everything. I looked at his stone face and said, "Wasn't it you who just a couple of months ago complained we weren't stocking well enough and inhibiting day shift's ability to do their job?" All of a sudden I heard laughter coming from the office, and he was pulled in and written up for harassment and bullying, which has a no tolerance in my facility. He was fired a few days later. It became a regular way night shifts stocked rooms, and from what I understand, even though I don't work there anymore, still is. Edit. Our facility had a constant war between night and day shift that I tried my hardest to stay out of, until this point of the abuse from day shift. Evening 2 to 10, 3 to 11 was honestly the best shift to be on, because that team got everything done they were supposed to and understood what day shift was doing to night shift. It sucks that it's a constant war in any facility or any industry that has a day-night swing schedule. I tried to make my focus about the care of the residents and not the pettiness of day shift and night shift. When I moved to swing, I actually started to feel like I was making a difference. I shouldn't have ever had to feel like I had to do what I did because yeah, it was petty. But there was a particular morning crew that was the worst at the abuse, and if they truly felt I wasn't doing my job when I was, I would fix the problem on my part. For many years, I worked in shelters for the elderly both on night and day shifts. Night workers always complained about day workers, and vice versa. Both shifts have their positive and negative aspects that need to be taken into account. People in each shift always think that working in the other shift is easy. I believe that when training junior and mid-level nurses, it is useful to require them to work at least a week on each shift. When they personally experience all the difficulties, they'll be less inclined to complain, and will understand other employees more. Your decision to restack the bathrooms at an unprecedented height was brilliant. You did it so well that you created a new problem for the day shift. Just too much inventory. And your response to the criticism was great. Weren't you the one who complained that we didn't drain well enough before and prevented the day shift from doing their job? The third story is, we still wanted pizza. This took place in the very late 80s or early 90s pre-internet. We had a very large multi-line BBS system with some text games and robust chat rooms, where a lot of people hung out and used it as the central hub of their social lives. A lot of us met and hung out in person on weekends, and there were also lots of parties, and that's already more backstory than you need. But apparently forum rules say I have to include some sort of setup. One Saturday we have a pool party that was pretty large. We decided to order pizza from a local 24-hour place that was famous for having great brick oven square pizza. We ordered something like 10 to 12 large pizzas very early on, even confirming they're okay handling an order that big. Hours go by, several phone calls asking where the pizzas are, excuses about how they had messed them all up. Really, all of them? And had to start over. But eventually, more than 8 hours after we ordered, they show up. Most of the people had left by then, and that was now way too many pizzas. We ask if we can just take half of them. The delivery guy, who I'll call delivery guy, because I don't know his name, and it isn't important, but again, forum rules say I have given somebody an alias during the story, says he has to call his boss. He comes in and uses the phone. I hear him telling his boss how after all those hours, people have left, and that we wanted only half of the order. Boss says no, tell them it's all or none. Fine then, none it is. Sorry dude, bye. There we are, we're starving. Some ideas are thrown out about what was open on that side of town, where we could go, etc. I had my heart set on that pizza place, so I suggested we go there. There was some confusion at the suggestion. Yeah, that would be hilarious if we all just rolled up and, wait, you're serious? I was serious, but nobody was calling me Shirley. We went. As we're piling in, the delivery guy spots us and whispers to his boss while pointing at us. Boss gave us the evil eye the entire time we were in there, and I heard him say something about throwing all those other pizzas out. Edit. It was Terenia's Pizza, spelled phonetically here in Vegas. At the time of this story, they had just moved from their original location to a crappy strip mall. Big ovens and all, minus the mural portraits of the owners and longtime employees on the wall. Ordering a pizza that took over 8 hours and the amount they delivered to you was clearly absurd. As you said, too much pizza. You and your friends really deserve that pizza, and you decided not only to give yourself all the pleasure, but to show the pizza boss that you're not giving up on your team, and are not afraid to overcome any obstacles for the sake of deliciousness. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.